Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 5 series of Zerg versus Terran, where we're starting off in game number 1 on the map Botanical. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner. Playing with the blue Zerg pieces, we have none other than Shin. His opponent, down in the bottom right, with the red SCVs, we have Kijkwijzer. Now this particular series is from the RSL. As far as I'm aware, Botanical is a map that is only ever run in the RSL. I haven't seen any other tournaments picking this one up just yet, but in the few games that I have seen on it so far, it does seem to be pretty nice. Especially the base right over here seems to create a lot of spectacle. It's up on a high ground, but it still seems to be relatively difficult to acquire. You can attack into it from the low ground too, and maybe it's just the games that I have seen on it thus far. Because in theory, it shouldn't be a very difficult expansion to take. But realistically, so far in the matches I've seen, it does seem to be a problem. Either way, we're starting off right here with a good old... Whoa! Sorry, can you do that one again? That Reaper just made the longest jump I've ever seen a Reaper make. Why did you even do it like that? You could have just taken... Whoa! There, you could have just taken the ramp. Fair enough. He just wanted to look cool. I wonder if that means you could do it from here as well. Oh, now you're gonna just walk back the normal way, huh? Or, well, walk. These guys, I don't think they ever really walk. They always levitate a couple of centimeters above the ground. All right, triple command center opener. No surprise there. Will we be going into any sort of Terran mech? I find the whole mech situation in this matchup so interesting, because if you ask any Zerg player, they will tell you that Terran mech against Zerg because of the cyclone is broken. But then if we actually look at the games, not a lot of Terran players are playing mech against Zerg right now. As a matter of fact, I see more mech against Protoss, even though they don't even play cyclones there and the strategies really haven't changed much, but just because of the prominence of, I guess, like, just straight up Storm, we've been seeing a lot more meching. It's weird. It's a little bit funky. Either way, it's going to be a triple command center 1-1-1 for now, and we'll have to see if he decides to add on some additional factories here in just a moment. Shin, however, already going, of course, into the third. No surprise there. He will be sending... Ooh. Dude, this Reaper is fancy, isn't it? It's a really weird loop as well. Okay, well... He must be a little bit nauseous now, but he will be able to see exactly what's going on over at the third hatchery of the Zerg. Oh. Cloaking field coming up. I've actually become a big fan of these mass Banshee builds that we have seen the Terran players experiment with a little bit more as of late. More so against Protoss than against Zerg. But I think the mass Banshee with both the hyperfied rotors and then also the cloaking field upgrade is really quite good. Overlord, though, is certainly going to get shut down, so Shin is not likely to see a whole lot. Although the... Okay, Viking was kind of misrallied. Still does not quite get the value. Look at the cityscape, by the way, underneath. This is how I pictured we would be navigating planet Earth by now as well. I mean, it's the year 2025. Why do we not have flying cars for everybody? Anyways, instead we sit around in traffic jams. A little bit unlucky. Maybe one day we'll get to that point. Either way, Shin is really just trying to absorb any attack here in the earlier stages of the game. And would you look at it? Okay, nice. Kijkwijzer is gonna be going into Terran mech. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of Kijkwijzer's Terran versus Zerg lately. Kijkwijzer, though, in my mind, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but Kijkwijzer, in my mind, is not the best micro-Terran. Somebody like Clem tends to be phenomenal with bio. We've seen Björn pull off some crazy tricks. Maru, of course, also no slouch when it comes to unit control. Kijkwijzer, obviously an absolute world-class Terran, and he has been for many, many years. But when I think of Kijkwijzer's playstyle, I don't really remember any crazy, flashy micro. I'm sure he's had moments, but it's not necessarily his strength. If micro is not your strength, and I say this as somebody who really doesn't have great micro, I think you should probably be playing Terran mech. I've always considered myself more of like a macro player, maybe more of like a timing attack type of player. Micro has never been my personal go-to in this game, and I think Terran Mech is way easier to control across the board than Terran Bio is, especially against, well, this type of unit composition. Ling Bane? Trying to micro Ling Bane against, or sorry, trying to micro Marines against Ling Bane is really, really tough. It is, by the way, going to be that super battle mech focused army. So it's not just going to be Cyclone Hellion, but it's indeed going to be Cyclone Hellion Banshee. So the most mobile version of the Terran mech army, the most, well, I guess micro-heavy version of this too. And in my mind, that makes a lot of sense. Cure is the type of player that you look at and you're like, huh, I could copy that. I could give that a shot in my own games. And, well, he's a very inspirational player in that regard until you actually give it a shot yourself. Ooh. Ooh, okay. I thought that those Hellions were in a pretty nice position, but this little high ground here is indeed covered by a speed circle. And that means that despite the fact that some of the Lings ended up getting burned, the rest of them jumped those fire trucks very, very rapidly. Okay, so we're getting all the important upgrades now. Blue Flame, Lock-On, Speed. We're getting everything. The Zumi Banshees are now indeed available. 4 of them already. Number 5 is going to be joining the battlefield here in just a moment. And I think Shin will now see, okay, that indeed this is what the game is going to hold for him. He's sacrificing a Lings, it seems, just to deal a bit of damage. Feels a bit desperate. I don't think that really was a great choice, but we'll have to see what sort of approach Shin decides to go for here when it comes to playing against this type of army. We've seen a few different approaches from Zergs. Hydraling Bane is, of course, always an option, but Hydraling Bane is very much so a I'm gonna fight fire with fire type of approach, where effectively both players are speccing into full damage and very little survivability, and it looks like that will be Shin's game plan over here. Alternatively, of course, spellcasters are really nice. Both Vipers as well as Infestors certainly have their place. Infestation Pit is actually gonna get denied if he's not careful. Not the case though, just a small group of Hydras is gonna be able to push this away for now. But it's very likely that if we spec into full damage like we are on both sides, that the fight, the main engagement, is going to take all but about 3 seconds. At which point the game will likely be decided. Shin's economy is really good though. He should be able to tech up to like, well, however many workers he wants. 86 is solid. We sometimes see Zerg players going up to triple digits here. So like 100 workers and just send in wave after wave after wave of unit. But I think Infestors indeed are a great choice. Infestors with their fungal growth ability can make it difficult for the Banshees to escape, for the Cyclone Hellion army to escape as well. We even have a Raven added into the mix right now. Okay. So anti-armor missile, I guess, would be the main source here. Also as a detector, of course, against those Infestors, it can be really quite nice. For now, though, Cure is really just trying to play a bit of a slower game here, even though he's playing a fast-paced game as far as the unit compositions go. He's building up a large army. And he's also going for a big economy. So rather than playing like the full, I'm going to try and hit a timing attack with all of my upgrades. The Banshees do end up falling here. Nice snipe for Shin. He is playing the full macro mech. Usually at that point, or if you're playing this type of style, at some point you will have to make a transition to siege tanks. Kurdo is looking to max out on Cyclones and then some more Cyclones and then some more Cyclones. Zerglings, though, are starting to get the wraparound now, and this is a really nice fight here for Shin, who will be able to clean up the majority of the units. In the meantime, all the way on the other side of the map, we do have another push. These will likely at least be capable of killing the creep and the hatchery over there on the right, and possibly even more. He's got his eyes set on the mineral line too. Units in the top right-hand corner of the map, though, did end up going down. So will this hatchery over here. Shin's eco now has been knocked back to 5 bases, but I think that's okay. Planetary Fortress over here would not be a luxury. Would not mind seeing one of those added into the mix, although I think he needed to make a barracks again and then probably an engineering bay. Either way, the Zerglings are still running through. We do have an anti-armor missile as well. Fungal growths are going down left, right, and center. And Shin is smelling blood right now. He wants to move up towards his high ground. He did, by the way, go for a hive. He also does have a Spire finishing up, so possibly he wants to go into Brute Lords here, or maybe just to transition a little bit later on into the game into something else. Either way, for now, he is dealing so much damage, and since there's no planetary fortress here, as a matter of fact, it's going to be an orbital, Cure will have a difficult time holding on to this big attack. He will be able to clean up all of the Zerg units, but of course the question becomes at what cost? He lost a lot of army. And in general, Zerg can remax way quicker than a Terran player ever can, and Shin's economy is still looking very, very nice. He's going orbitals only. How odd. I mean, he doesn't have a engineering bay, so he can't actually build up a planetary fortress. But it's still a little bit strange to go 5 bases and then orbitals only. It just leaves you so vulnerable to potential Zergling run-bys. Now, this Ling run-by over here is going to hurt quite a bit. At least you can lift it off, I suppose, so that's nice. Cyclones are still tearing apart a lot of these units, though. 10 drones didn't end up going down, but quite a few of the SCVs also fell. Okay. So, Greater Spire is indeed going to be Shin's next weapon of choice. He did lose all of the Infestors other than one. As the dust settles, though, despite having... I feel like Shin has been having the better traits across the board, but as the dust settles, Cure does actually have a supply advantage. Keep in mind that they still have not fixed the Cyclone bug. And at this point, I guess it's canon. But the Cyclone simply deals more damage than its intended damage values are. Basically, what it comes down to is that they lock on significantly more frequently than they are supposed to. And obviously in a game like this, with dozens upon dozens upon dozens of Cyclones, they lock on, well, hundreds of additional times. 14 SCVs end up going down, though. Cure still has a massive army. He's actually stopped replacing a lot of the SCVs here, too, for a while, in favor of even more army. Okay. Now, ultimately, Shin will need something a little bit more sustainable than what he's got, I think. I think that's at the very least what the Brute Lords are supposed to be. Nice fungal growth over here. Good Ling run by as well, but Blue Flame Hellions were waiting off to the side. Question is, are the Cyclone numbers not big enough already? Because this is the number that you're looking for as a Terran player, where you can plow through it. We do have some really nice Viper abductions, though. 5 Vipers available. Trying to abduct as many of those units as possible, but the Hydras and the Zerglings are still dwindling to just the mass Cyclone production here, and close your eyes, Zerg players, because I've got a feeling that this is game over. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Ultra Love. Now, Cure is building up a second barracks. That's crazy. That's already more barracks than he had in the previous game. Oh, he's gonna make a third one. Well, that's certainly going to be more than he had in the previous game in total. Yeah, that previous game is exactly the type of match that a lot of Zerg players complain about. It kind of feels like Shin made pretty much all the right moves, but then still took a couple of rough engagements. He lost a few more of the spellcasters than he really wanted to, or that he maybe should have. And then at some point, the critical mass of Cyclones just looks a little bit too oppressive in my mind. Either way, Cure, not a one-trick pony by any stretch of the imagination. He wants to go into good old Reapers. And then more Reapers. And then more Reapers. And then I guess more Reapers. The question is, when will he stop? So Shin has seen 2 of the barracks. Usually with 2 barracks, you see a grand total of about 5 at the absolute most. I would say 2 to 5 Reapers is the norm. If you see that the Zerg is going for a quick third base, you can build up to 5. If you see that they aren't, you could just stop at 2. But 3 is fine, 4 is fine as well. Shin will know that something is a little bit fishy by the time that he sees more than 5. But he's already respecting it, though, as if it is the case. Going into a quick spine crawler. He does have enough gas for Ling speed. I would not mind seeing that one start up here in just a moment. But Shin is respecting this. Good movement here with the queens. Can we go on link speed, please? Yeah, he doesn't really want to stop the drone production for the time being, which I guess is fair enough. But now you will know very soon, with the additional Reaper showing up, that this is indeed mass Reaper production, and Cure is already building up a third command center as well. Reapers are 50 minerals and 50 gas each. Now we do see an add-on coming up here, but, I mean, you could still continue making Reapers. Engineering bay as well on the back of this. And Cure has already accomplished what he set out to do. He wanted to get the bigger economy off of this, so he took a bit of an economical hit early on, but now he's, well, up to 3 bases. His opponent is stuck on 2. Roach Warren on the back of this as well, actually, for Shin. Shin is going lair on 2 bases. He is adding on 2 additional gases. Shin is effectively now responding to this early game here from Cure with what kind of feels like some sort of timing attack, almost like an all-in of his own, which is kind of wild. It becomes a bit of a guessing game, but I think one of the very best things that you can do here as a Terran player is look at this upgrade aggressively. There's no chrono boost available for Terran, so I guess that's your best choice. Just look at it the entire way through, and you will see that something will be researching there. Stimpack is such a big power spike. One of the queens ends up going down. Nice scout here as well for Cure, by the way. He sees the lack of link speed, he sees the lair, and he is going in around the back. Some nice grenades here in general. A few roaches are spawning, and now he sees the Roach Warren too. He is dealing so much damage. Whatever Shin has got prepared here is gonna have to wait, because in the meantime, I think he's losing the game. A good old Reaper all-in. I mean, it's not even really an all-in. It's triple command center on the back of this with Stimpack and +1, so he's got plans, but now he's just settling for as much damage as he possibly can go for. I'm guessing Shin can maybe still put down, yeah, Nidus network, and then try to go for one final hurrah, but he is going to be, for all intents and purposes, all in. Now, there is one Overlord hiding in the back, but the only spots where it can put down a worm is within vision of the Terran. So I wish him good luck. Be prepared for a very awkward GG. Unless Shin... Cure? Okay. I don't know why we were so slow on the reaction there, but I think it's still good enough. GG. Game number 3. We find ourselves on Persephone. Now, Shin is looking around his side of the map. If you look at the mini-map, there's a bright patch. He's been looking around. He's been trying to figure out if maybe there would be a proxy barracks coming up on his site. Not the case. Cure is opening up with a very conventional start, but this is a Zerg player now who's been hurt one too many times already. But apparently he's not going to shy away from a very fast third hatch. Okay, I like this. Shin is doing a gasless triple hatch opener. Let's see. Spawning pool in the back of the main. No gas whatsoever. And Cure, I mean, he should go ahead and check the low ground. He's waiting right now for a drone to pass by and go into a third. But now you will see, oh snap, that's what we're playing against. So he'll be able to put 1-on-1 together right now. And he will know that this Zerg is going to be idle for a little while. At the very least when it comes to early game aggression. You can't really go for a triple hatch opener like the one that Shin has gone for. Whilst also, ooh, nice catch here on the Reaper. Whilst also going for an attack. I don't think so. You're not going to run slow Zerglings across the map. So this is going to give Cure all the time in the world to do whatever he likes. Now, what does he like? Triple command center, fair enough. CC on the low ground is going to get a nice little orbital command hat. Okay, we do see some slowlings go across, which is not a terrible idea, but Hellion production will begin. And what are they going to do? There's no SCVs on the low ground. Cure obviously too good for this sort of thing. Shin fishing for a lucky kill, but not going to be able to get the job done. Starport as well. Now, the question is, will we go for a bio follow-up or will we go for Terran mech yet again? I think at this point, Cure can do whatever he likes. He's perfectly capable of playing the both of them, but I honestly don't mind the idea of going Terran mech again. It didn't go perfectly in the first game, but it was still a win. It was very chaotic though, and obviously extremely action-packed too. Difficult to really keep track of all of the things, just as like an observer, right? Like as we're watching the game, it feels like there's action all over the map. Those games are difficult to play. Roach Warren together with an Evo Chamber right now. Cloaking Field coming up. So no Zergling speed here for Shin. This will likely be a Zergling speed upgrade a little bit later on. Usually Zergs will go for either like a Ultralisk transition off of this or a Lurker transition. Really just using these Roaches as like a stepping stone. Look at this, he's even got a... Very similar to what Serral does. He's got a drone on idle in the wall-off. Definitely taking this from Serral. So you can make a full wall-off in case it's mass Hellions suddenly driving through. And we're playing Bio. Okay. So Cure playing different strategies across the board in every game so far. You love to see it. Banshee goes in around the left side of the map. Shindo sees this coming in from a mile away. Kind of ugly here on the Banshee. Yeah, I don't like that at all, man. We just flew in and died. Not ideal. Maybe that pilot didn't have a license or something. I don't know what's going on there. Either way, engineering bays are finishing up in the back of the natural expansion. And I do fully expect, there we go, good old Stimpack. We'll see combat shields in just a moment, I'm sure, as well. Now we'll have to find out exactly what flavor of Terran bio we're going to be playing. So broadly speaking, from here, there's two different variants that Terrans can go for. Either you go for an 8 Rex all-in, or you go for a 4th command center off of 5 barracks. The one is obviously more aggressive than the other, although this is still a very momentum-heavy style, regardless of which of the two options you go for. Second Banshee shows up. Gets a little bit of damage done, but nothing all too crazy. One drone took a bit of a bruising. The cost, of course, of 3 additional barracks is about the same as the cost of a 4th command center, so usually that's where we see the pivot. In the meantime, we've got ourselves a infestation pit coming up. Zergling speed now as well. Hive will begin in just a moment. And he did go for the quick +1 carapace upgrade, so that means that Ultralisks are still a choice. They're still an option. Without armor upgrades, you really can't play Ultralisks. They have a pretty slim timing window in the first place in a regular game of StarCraft 2. And obviously in a game like this, well, if you don't start the armor upgrade early, it'll be difficult to ever get the Ultralisk to work. I'm assuming we will see +2 pretty much immediately. Hive has already begun. Armory, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, will probably go into the 2-2 upgrades here for the Terran in just a moment as well. 4th command center, by the way, was built, so no barracks 6, 7, and 8 just yet. And that means that Cure is settling in for a nice little macro game. Nice little drop here inside of the main base, though. Persephone, of course, with the way that the map is laid out, you can get across pretty quickly. No watchtower on the left side. Oh, fungal growth here is real nice. Although it doesn't last forever. It inhibits the movement for just a moment. But eventually it wore off, and there wasn't enough follow-up right there for the Zerg to really get the job done. 6 drones, though, at this point in the game are pretty much meaningless. Same for these Overlords. It's not bad, of course. I mean, if you can choose between not killing the units and killing the units, obviously it's way better here to kill the units, but Shin already has everything he wanted to go for, and there is indeed the Ultra Cavern. I would love to see the melee upgrade start up as well. Ooh, love this. Ooh, the Banshee goes in. Transfusion right here by the Queen, though. It's gonna keep the Infestor alive. Honestly, a big win. If the Banshee could kill one of those Infestors... Again, Zerg is on a skinny timing window here, where Ultras are going to be able to dominate the battlefield. Any delay, be it with an Infestor snipe or an armor upgrade delay or anything like it, would be absolutely massive. So the timing attack for Shin is when chitinous plating is done. Chitinous plating is one of the upgrades in the Ultra Cavern. They have two upgrades, one for armor, which is chitinous plating. There it is. The other one is for movement speed off creep. I don't think you can wait for the second one. But usually if you go across the map right when the upgrade finishes, it is before the Terran has made the reliable transition to Liberators or Ghosts, or sometimes even both. Usually Terrans will max out with 2-2 first, and then go for a late game transition. Now look at this. The first drop was rather successful, but what about another one? Sure, send in all of the Medivacs. Any time bot right now is big. I honestly think Cure is reading this game perfectly. Fungal Growth is gonna go down once again, but what about the Hive? The Hive will indeed fall. It's a lot of expensive losses, though. A bloodbath is all that remains. Was that worth it, Cure? His supply count is going to take a bit of a nosedive. In the meantime, there is a fight over here at the front as well, which I don't entirely love. No Ghost Academy. No Liberator production. No Fusion Core, none of that. I think this is the perfect opportunity for Shin to go across. He's remaking the old main, but he's already got the Ultralisk Cavern upgrading everything. I think we need to go. I think we need to go ASAP. Here we go. Everything's done. Will Cure have enough to defend against this? And this really is the true test of the Ultralisk. Is it going to be able to push its way through? This is when the Ultralisk is at its mightiest. Marines and Marauders are doing a good job kiting. The Sim City here from the Terran is also quite nice. Trying to funnel all of the Zerglings and the Banelings and the Ultras into these choke points. The splits have been excellent. And you know what? Cure is actually microing this like an absolute champ. Stutter stepping multiple engagements at the same time is never easy. 5th Command Center, by the way, is going to be getting its nice little planetary fortress graduation cap here in just a moment. At least I think that's the plan. New Zerg units do show up. Infestors are also here, but so many of these Terran units are pre-split already. Marauders get fungled, but do kill 2 of the Infestors. I think that's the end of the Ultralisks. Yeah. It's almost like Cure hurt me in the previous game. He's like, yo, Loco said I couldn't micro. It's like, that's not what I said, Cure. Not what I said at all. He said I wasn't like Clem. Witness me. Fine. He's him. He is him, I say. Well, let's see. The Ultras are still scary, though. I mean, until the Liberators are out, until the Terran gets Ghosts, I feel like Ultras are always a viable choice. The big difference that's going to kick in soon is these upgrades right over here. So with the way that armor upgrades work in StarCraft 2, currently Marines deal very little damage to these armored Ultras. Getting the +1 upgrade though, like the +3 in total, but the +1 additional damage, is going to spike their damage against Ultras significantly. It's the same for the Marauders. But this Terran army that he's currently got is already dealing with the Ultras quite well. Although maybe this is what he's looking for. Can we get a mass repair? Graduation hat or not, apparently the planetary is going to go down. What about the Zerglings in the meantime over at the 3rd base? Okay, suddenly Cure is finding himself in one of those weird positions where he was doing a great job earlier, but then some of these units starting to slip through the cracks. A lot of damage is being dealt, but it looks like Cure has decided that now is his time to go across. He's got the upgrades done. He's begun Liberator production. He still has 4-base economy. What about this fight at the perimeter of creep? Shin lacking a little bit of the creep spread over here, but the Ultras now from the other side of the map have decided to return back home. Bit of a surround because of it. It's a bit scrappy, it's a bit messy, but the stutter step control here has been very good. Micro units back to the safety of the orbital command. Banelings are starting to join in as well, though. Fungal growth obviously can change everything. Liberator up in the air is going to get biled, but not enough biles available to really shut this down. Nice Baneling connection there. 16 SCVs end up going down, and Shin still has 89 workers worth of economy. Okay. Five Vipers. Really, Shin? Shin's a big fan of Mass Viper, huh? He's adding on some new roaches, too. Ravagers here would actually be really quite beneficial. It's 3 biles to kill a Overseer. He's trying to heal up the Ultralisk instead of the Zelnaga healing shrine. It's kind of fun to see. It heals an absolute amount, though. It's not a percentage-based heal, so some of these units do take a little bit longer. More and more Lings, more and more Banes. Cure did make another command center, by the way. Actually, he did not. He's flown the old main base towards the left side. Fungal growth coming out of left field here, trying to get a lucky hit. The corrosive biles here are excellent. Yep. This Zerg is just going through whatever he can hit. But the big change right now for Cure, and one that he can certainly lean into a little bit more, so we have another fungal coming in, is the Liberator production. He's got a second starport right now. He's building 4 of those bad boys at once. That bile set was really nice. You got some Medivacs plus the Liberator to boot, and then I believe also some bio units on the ground. But the Liberator numbers can get out of control really, really rapidly. Fusion Core has not been an option yet for Cure. Getting the ranged upgrade for those libs would be phenomenal. Shin actually a little bit late on these upgrades. They should have already been done a little bit ago, but he's been trying to spend all of his money to end this game sooner rather than later. Cure, by the way, not really remaking a lot of the SCVs that he's lost. He lost 26 workers in total, and it looks to me like he is effectively now saying, okay, well, too bad. I had one moment where I made SCVs, and that moment has passed now. Army it is for the rest of the game. Now, these fights are good. Parasitic bombs here are not the end of the world. Corrosive biles, I mean, they are dealing damage, but a hatchery does fall. Cure is just trying to brute force his way through all of this. The problem is, if he really wants to get the job done with the economy that he has right now, he will have to take a big fight on creep. And that's always scary as a Terran. Shin sneaking out a base over here on the right side of the map. I quite like that. I don't know if he can really change any of his playstyle. I don't think that's the plan. I think he just wants to go more fungals, more parasitic bombs, more, blinding clouds, and all of this is extremely powerful. But, again, the Terran army is still scary. Marines and Marauders and Medivacs, man. It needs to be respected. And Cure is clearly very confident in the way that he's controlling all of this. Margin for error is absolutely tiny for a Terran with an army like this. You never know if there's a Baneling somewhere, but look at that. He just broke his way through all of those Ultralisks on creep. Here's a new one showing up, but it was misrallied and goes down while awkwardly derping around some of the, Zerg creep. The Terran army is dangerously low, though. Blinding cloud here. Even the Marines are going to get one-shot by the Queens, but it does not matter. Cure gets a 3-0 win over Shin. That is not what I expected here at all. He gets the job done against one of the world's very best Zergs at this point in time. And he did it with 3 very distinct strategies. Game number 1, full Terran mech. Game number 2, full Reaper all-in. And then game number 3, full bio. Well done. I mean, once upon a time, Cure's Terran versus Protoss was considered to be the best in the world. But he was always held back by his Terran versus Zerg. Over the last couple years, he's been working on the matchup a lot, and these days, he's clearly, evidently, very good.